Bonjour et bienvenue à Free State French Online. This is the lesson to accompany the French 1 introduction question. Quel temps fait-il? Quel temps fait-il? What is the weather like? And you can add modifiers to make your sentence a little bit more interesting. Quel temps fait-il aujourd'hui? Today. What's the weather like today? Quel temps fait-il aujourd'hui? Quel temps fait-il en hiver? Quel temps fait-il en hiver? What's the weather like in winter? Quel temps fait-il en France? Quel temps fait-il en France? What is the weather like in France? And certainly there are a lot of other things that you could add here. Those were just some examples. Okay, we'll start with ones that basically express temperature, although they're not specific at all. Il fait très chaud. Il fait très chaud. Il fait très chaud. You can also eliminate the très. Il fait chaud. Il fait chaud. Next, there's il fait frais. Il fait frais is moderate temperature. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. Il fait frais, it's refreshing. There's not a space for this on your blue packet, and just write it in the same box as il fait chaud, it's hot out, or you can write it in the margin. Sorry about that. And the next one, il fait très froid. Il fait très froid. And again, the très is optional. Il fait froid. We also learned ça caille in class. Okay, the next ones are a little bit more specific weather. Keep in mind that these are very basic phrases, not ones that you would necessarily hear on a weather report. They're more like ones you would hear in the kindergarten classroom. We have two different ones for this. Il y a du soleil. Il y a du soleil. Il y a du soleil. It's sunny out. And another way that you can express that same thing, il fait du soleil. Il fait du soleil. They both mean the exact same thing, just the grammar is a little bit different. Next, there's il y a des nuages. Il y a des nuages. Il y a des nuages. And the other way to express that it's cloudy, il fait nuageux. Il fait nuageux. Il fait nuageux. And then we have it is windy. Il y a du vent. Il y a du vent. Il y a du vent. And you can also use il fait du vent. Il fait du vent. Il fait du vent. Alright, and then a few other weather expressions before we see negatives. It's stormy, or there is a thunderstorm. It sounds a little bit awkward in English. Remember, we translate whole concepts and not word for word. Il y a un orage. Il y a un orage. There is a storm. Il y a un orage. Or, il fait orageux. Il fait orageux. Il fait orageux. Il neige. It's snowing. Il neige. Il neige. Il neige. And it's raining. Il pleut. Il pleut. We also learned il pleut à verse. Il pleut à verse. And then we have just general good weather and bad weather, always going to be subject to opinion, of course. Il fait très beau. Il fait très beau. Il fait beau. Il fait beau. And bad weather, il fait très mauvais. Il fait très mauvais. Il fait mauvais. Now in class, we also did a lesson on how you make sentences negative using these weather expressions, and they're not in your packet, but hopefully you have them in your notes. If not, you know you need to create a new page just for these negative weather expressions. And to make something negative, in a nutshell, at least for right now, all you have to do is add the word ne in front of the verb. Remember, the verb is your action word. And you add pas immediately after the verb. Make a little verb sandwich with ne, verb, pas. That'll change the more in-depth we get. But for right now, this is the basic way to make your negatives. Il ne fait pas chaud. Il ne fait pas très chaud. Il ne fait pas très chaud. It is not hot out. Il ne fait pas frais. Il ne fait pas frais. It's not a moderate temperature. I know it's kind of an odd sentence, but remember this was just for practice with negatives. Il ne fait pas très froid. Il ne fait pas très froid. It's not very cold out. Il ne fait pas très froid. When you get into the expressions that use il y a, things work a little bit differently. You still have a ne right in front of the verb. Really, the a is the verb. Don't worry about why this the letter e or the letter y here is right in front of it. But you can't have the vowel followed immediately by the letter y or the word i. So il n'y a pas. Il n'y a pas. Il n'y a pas is how that's pronounced. It all sounds like it's one long word all slurred together. And then the other thing you have to do is change the du, du, into de, de. That's a rule of the negative. We'll talk about it much later in the year. Il n'y a pas de soleil. Il n'y a pas de soleil. Il ne fait pas de soleil. Il ne fait pas de soleil. Il n'y a pas de nuages. Il n'y a pas de nuages. Il ne fait pas nuageux. Il ne fait pas nuageux. And then we have il n'y a pas de vent. Il n'y a pas de vent. Il n'y a pas de vent. And il ne fait pas de vent. Il ne fait pas de vent. Il n'y a pas d'orage. Il n'y a pas d'orage. And this de has dropped out. It's it's e because it's followed by an o, so it makes the liaison the same way as this one does here. It's not il ne i, il n'y. And it wouldn't be il n'y a pas de orage, il n'y a pas d'orage. Got to smooth it out. Il ne fait pas orageux. Il ne fait pas orageux. Il ne neige pas. Il ne neige pas. Il ne pleut pas. Il ne pleut pas. Il ne fait pas beau. Il ne fait pas très beau. Il ne fait pas mauvais. Il ne fait pas très mauvais. Thank you for watching this lesson on weather, and we'll see you next time.